you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this hearing to order, acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Ojibwe, Cree, Dakota peoples, and then the national homeland at the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Ron Merritt. I'll be your chairperson this morning. Introducing to my left is Mayor Jerry Arnell, who's a panel member, and via Zoom, what is our next panel member is Valerie Warhan. Our assessor this morning is Mr. Eric Gauthier, and our recording secretary is Stephen Lund. To the Zoom participants at the hearing, please note that you will be placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. Then it will be your turn and you will be admitted to the meeting. Kindly follow along the City of Winnipeg Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host has admitted you to the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak in respect to your property. Once your hearing has been concluded, you may leave. This morning, we'll be hearing application for revision of the assessment rule according to the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested has been described in each application, and we will limit discussions to those matters. The statements that are made at the hearing are sworn testimony, and anybody speaking in these matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it, along with the City Administration. We make our decisions based on the evidence provided at this hearing and issue a written order that would be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board decision in respect to application may be appealed to the manager of the municipal board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to application from exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. In respect to the hearing this morning, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant. Following the swearing in, it'll be then the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have. And then it'll be the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each party will have the opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket this morning. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live stream recorded and will be part of the public record. This morning we'll be hearing items 1 to 8 on our docket this morning. I'll ask Mr. Lund to affirm or swear in the assessor, and we'll first have the applicant sworn into, which is Mr. McIntosh.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Eric Gauthier.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
To the best of my knowledge, I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. And Mr. McIntosh, please state your full name.
You may be muted.
All right, should be good.
Please state your full name.
David McIntosh.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. McIntosh. You're no stranger here. You've been here before. So you're aware of the procedure. So we're going to go right at it, and we're going to deal with your property at 262 Leverandre Street. So Mr. Assessor, Mr. Gauthier, you may proceed with your presentation.
The subject property is roll number 0606049500, commonly known as 262 La Vérendrye Street. It's located in the neighborhood of North St. Boniface. It's a one-story single-family home built in 1930. We currently have no effective age on the property, or on the dwelling, I should say. The living area is 1,056 square feet. It has a full basement with no basement finish. We have one full bath, no half baths, no extra showers, no central air conditioning, no fireplaces, no garages, no pools, no sunrooms. It's located on a plot of land that is 4,035 square feet. We have a school influence. It's located across the street from Taché School. We have the 2023 proposed assessed value at $235,000. I'm presenting 4 comparable sales today. They're all located in North St. Boniface except comparable number 2, which is in Central St. Boniface, but still a relatively close distance to the subject. They're all one-story single-family homes. They year builds range between 1923 and 1943. Effective ages range between 1933 and 1950. Square footage ranges between 826 square feet and 1,010 square feet. They all have full basements. Please note that comp number 1, 3, and 4 have basement finish. Full baths range between 1 and 2. Half baths range between 0 and 1. Extra showers range between 0 and 1. Comps number 1, 2, and 3 have central AC. There are no fireplaces, no attached garages. An important note here is that all the comparables have single detached garages. No in-ground pools, no sunrooms. The land ranges between 3,904 square feet and 5,392 square feet. Note that comparable number 4 has a commercial adjacent influence. The comparable sales that I've chosen are basically from 2018 to 2020. The sale prices range between $224,000 at the low end and I'll round off here, $271,000, giving a sale price per square foot range between $262 a square foot to $327 a square foot. So the time adjusted sale prices, so to bring these sales to our reference date that we're here to discuss today is April 1st, 2021. Once we time adjust those sales, the range is between $244,000 and at the high end, we'll call it $300,000. The time adjusted sale price per square foot ranges between $267 a square foot to $363 a square foot. I want to thank Mr. McIntosh for having sent his evidence on time yesterday. I had a chance to review it. Based on what we know about the property, the condition, and once you adjust for basement finishing, once you adjust for no garage on site, some of the condition issues, I've driven by the property. It's tired on the exterior. It needs new shingles. It definitely is in need of some TLC. So Mr. McIntosh in his evidence has requested a value of $215,000, which we agree is reasonable and a fair value. So I'm making a recommendation that this board accept a value of $215,000.
I thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Mr. McIntosh, are you in agreement with the verbal recommendation of $215,000?
First of all, I'm surprised. It's the first I've heard of it. That is what my request is.
Are you in agreement?
Yes, I'm in agreement.
All right. Panel members, any questions in regard to the recommendation from the assessment department? Jerry? Val?
None.
All right. I think under the circumstances, Mr. McIntosh, if you've agreed with the recommendation, we've concluded value and therefore there's no further evidence to be given. So I thank you very kindly for, I thank Mr. Gauthier for the recommendation. Mr. McIntosh, I think that concludes our hearing, so thank you very kindly for your
Thank you.
presentation. All right, thank you. We will go on to the next property in question, which is number one, Juniper Bay.
There is currently no applicant present.
No applicants, then we'll move that to the very end and deal with that at the very end of our docket. Okay, so then we'll go to number 43 Beaver Bend Crescent.
I can affirm the,
Yeah, who's ever giving the evidence, whether you're both giving evidence or just single, we'll have you sworn in.
Mr. Applicant, say your full name. Oh, can you please turn off your YouTube stream?
Sorry? What was that?
You have a bit of echo. I'm hoping you turn off your YouTube stream.
Turn off your YouTube.
My YouTube, I don't have YouTube on. Close my Outlook. 1 second here.
Seems to be gone.
No. Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah, you should be.
We'll have you sworn in, Mr. Ken. Okay.
Please state your full name.
My name is Dennis Tan.
Do you affirm that the evidence presented in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We still get an echo?
Yeah. Can we take a quick recess to fix it?
We're just gonna take about a 2-minute recess and straighten out the problem. All right, we'll call the hearing back to order. And I think we've had Mr. Tan sworn in. So we will proceed to go to number 43 Beaver Bend Crescent. And Mr. Gauthier will be representing the city and he can take us through your property. And Mr. Tan, you can listen to everything that is said and you may ask questions and then it'll be your opportunity to present your property. So Mr. Gauthier, whenever you're ready, you can take us through this property.
The subject property is roll number 0706303000, commonly known as 43 Beaver Bend Crescent. It's located in the neighborhood of Silver Heights. It's a 1-story, single-family home built in 1954. We do have an effective age of 1984 on the property. We have a living space at 936 square feet, full basement with basement finish, 1 full bath, 1 half bath, 1 extra shower. It has central air conditioning, no fireplaces, a single attached garage, no detached garages, no pools, no sunrooms. It's located on a plot of land that's 4,997 square feet. We have the 2023 assessed value proposed at $347,000. I'm presenting 4 comparable sales today. They're all in Silver Heights, 1-story bungalows, single-family homes. The year built ranges between 1952 and 1954. Effective ages range between 1969 and 1979. Square footage is pretty tight range here. The range is 936 square feet on the low end to 962 square feet on the high end. They all have full basements. They all have basement finish. They all have 1 full bath. All have 1 half bath. Extra showers range between 1 and 2. They all have central air conditioning. No fireplaces. No attached garages. Note that comparable 1, 2, and 4 have single detached garages, while comparable 3 does not have any garage, I guess. As far as pools, there's no pools present in any of the comparables. Same with sunrooms. The land ranges between 4,999 square feet and 7,996 square feet. Note that comparable 2 has a light traffic influence. The comparables all sold between 2019 and 2020. The sale prices range between 200, we'll call it 300,000 and 330,000. Sale prices per square foot range between $312 a square foot to $352 a square foot. When we time adjust these sales to bring it to our reference date, the time adjusted sale prices range between 323,000 and 365,000, giving a time adjusted sale price per square foot range between 344 a square foot to 390 a square foot. My recommendation is to maintain the current assessment of 347,000 as supported by renovated comparables. So all these comparables have had some level of renovation. Note that the subject property was purchased in March 2021. The interior was renovated top to bottom and the property was flipped in October 2021. The MLS pictures below showing the current condition. So note that the Act states current condition on our reference date. So one of our staff reviewed the sales, made appropriate changes to the property record and issued a supplementary notice changing the 2023 value from 277,000, which is where we originally had it, basically as a dated home, to 347,000 to reflect the renovated condition of the subject property. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tan, do you have questions in regards to what you just heard from the assessment department?
I don't have any questions for that. What was presented.
All right. I'll just ask our panel members. Val, do you have any questions?
Okay, so the your change of assessment was due to the pictures, but your staff did not go inside the home?
I don't believe we actually physically went into the home. We reviewed the sale on MLS.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Jerry, you have questions of the assessor? No questions. Mr. Gauthier noticed that the increase is 70,000, correct? Now, was there permits taken out for any of the work that took place? And do you have copies or anything?
I don't believe permits were taken out. Because normally if they are, I usually print them off.
Okay, so whoever reviewed, did they, how did they physically inspect it or just go from MLS listings to wherever?
Sorry, I want to rectify this. I'm just reading our notes here. I apologize. So there was actually a structural alteration permit. So what this permit was for is basically to open up a kitchen. So imagine a main floor bungalow, you take out a wall and open it up. Usually you have to deal with rafters and changing teleposts in the basement. It's a pretty big ordeal opening a load bearing wall and then reconfiguring the whole house. So it's got basically a top, from what I understand, this looks like a top to bottom reno job where you get new kitchen, new flooring.
I guess we can ask the applicant
to clarify. Sure.
So the amount of the supplementary was how much? Is it 70,000?
I actually didn't print off the permit, so I don't have the amount. But I tend to be careful with those because they're self-disclosed amounts.
Yes.
So I don't put too much weight on it, but 70,000 to complete, like if it's a complete reno like that with new kitchen, new flooring, seems appropriate to me for that type of renovation.
So did you investigate the sale that happened in March of 21? It shows $250,000.
Yeah, so clearly it was a fixer-upper that needed a lot of work. So someone bought it and flipped it. So.
That's a hell of a fixer-upper. You're going about $100,000. I mean,
well, and I want to bring back the focus to our comparables that are renovated. So they support the value, and these comparables would typically have newer kitchens and renovations done. So if I had presented comparables that were fixer uppers, then probably the value of $250 would be reasonable. But given the level of renovation, I think it's appropriate to use renovated comparables in the neighborhood.
So can you tell us whether it was a private sale or MLS? Probably can't. At two.
I actually, I don't know that it was the previous sale may have been private. Maybe we could ask the homeowner.
Yes.
I don't actually
Okay.
have that sale with
Okay.
me, so I can't confirm that.
I thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Mr. Tan, we're ready for your presentation. I note that nothing was submitted in, so it's probably going to be a verbal. I'm sorry.
They have late evidence. It should be in your folders.
Okay.
Mr. Gauthier, did you get their evidence?
No, I don't have it, and that's okay.
Yeah, I can print you off a copy if you'd like it in front of you.
That's fine. I'm okay.
Okay.
Oh, and I'd like to let you guys know my wife has also joined by Zoom. I'd like to share if she has to swear in as well.
Yeah, I just, I'll need to affirm her before she can make any presentation. So just give me 1 second here. Madame de Guyen, please state your full name. Oh, you are currently muted.
Hi, my name is Nguyễn Hồng Phượng, and I saw with my husband Danny Tan today, and I just if any information need to add on, I will join to add on the information. Other than that, my husband Danny Tan will do the presentation.
That's fine. And just if you are to provide any information in the hearing, I will need to affirm you. So we'll just do that now in case you do jump in at any point in the presentation. So do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Sorry, I need you to answer that question. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Stephen, Mr. Secretary, whereabouts is this? Right at the bottom. Right at the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay, right at the bottom.
There's a couple of
Scroll down. Okay, there.
No, that's
No, one more. Okay.
more. Just scroll down more. Yeah, there's a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot on this.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh, I thought it ended there.
No,
Okay. Okay.
You know.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
Here,
you see, yeah,
here,
it's
late.
late. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Tan, the floor is yours. Tell
Oh,
us
thank you.
about the property.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to share my screen. I just quickly made a PowerPoint up, do my presentation for you.
Don't believe you're able to share screens.
Oh, okay. Okay, now that's fine. So the reason why we're meeting today is we received a notice of a change of assessment filed with a statement dated September 12th for the property of 43 Beaver Bend, which we paid to prevent any interest for not paying. But then when we looked up the assessed value from the City of Winnipeg website on the assessment and taxation page, we found that the value had increased to $347,000. And so we were like, oh wow, that's quite a jump. And so in the spring though, when we have a lot of the water and flooding that's happening throughout the city, we actually had the same problems as well, and we had to open up the basement walls to get all the wet insulation off, and that's part of the pictures I did provide to you all. As you can see, there are some substantial foundational structural problems throughout the home in the basement. The cracking, as you can see in the pictures, is about 6 inches deep and about 1 inch wide. And so we feel based on this, just from these pictures alone and the problems that we've been dealing with, would lower the value of the home. And so trying to find a contractor nowadays is very difficult. We didn't manage to find one, and we were working with NISBE. And so on May 16th, 2022, they came by our home to do an assessment, and they initially provided their assessment of what needs to be done to repair the home to make it more safer due to the structural damage of the foundation. And then so they initially gave us quotes, and to about $11,000, nearly almost near $12,000. But unfortunately, they had to come back again because water was still coming in. And so on May 26th, they did another assessment of the home. And so they said they had to do additional work in order to help support the wall, because one of the walls is actually caving in towards the house, anything coming in. And so they have to do some extra work to help raise up that cell wall to push it back out to make it more parallel and secure. And so, but based on all of that, they're still, as of today, they're still working on the home to get it up and running. And so, like, we're pressing against time because with winter coming very shortly. And so, with the home, we purchased it back in October of 2021. Yes, they did do interior renovations that the member did describe in his presentation. But just to note that the quality of the woodwork, like for example, if you look at the pictures from the LMS of the countertop, it's 3/4 by 3/4 inch of lumber that's just glued together. Really, it's not even a high quality type of woodwork for the island that they had described in that kitchen area when they opened it up. And so it's quite easily damaged, and it's really, the wood is quite soft, really. And then like the appliances, they're not all high end, like they're just average appliances. Like, there's nothing spectacular about it. I guess they did do renovations of the home to open up and update the home, but really there was not a high end quality job, maybe. And with windows, it's also we didn't present these ones with pictures, but the windows themselves are not even updated. They're still the original windows, like they're dual pane. And from last winter, since we bought the home in October 21, we were dealing with a lot of cold air coming in because of the window not being double pane and not properly upgraded. And so we had to put plastic over all of the windows for this coming winter, so that we can help keep the heat, minimize heat loss in the home until we're able to save up money to get now for windows to get upgraded for the home. And so that's my presentation for 43 Beaver Bend.
Mr. Gauthier, questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to, do you have a total on cost to cure the deficiencies that we weren't aware of? Like to bring the property back, or to bring the dwelling back to, say, an average condition, fix the structural issue, whatever damage. Do you have a total for us here today? Oh, I think you're muted still.
I did provide that quantity values in the NISB quotes that they provided us. I can see how much it was totaled. I think nearly almost 40,000, 40 or 45,000, roughly.
45,000.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Ms. Warhan, questions of the applicant?
None at this time, thank you.
Jerry, any questions?
Oh, did I miss something, or what are you asking for as an assessment? Did I miss that?
No, I don't think you missed it. I can get it.
No.
What is it that you're asking? What do you think the assessment should be?
Oh, honestly, I'm not too sure. Like, as long as we get a fair assessment. Like, if you were to come to the home, maybe, and then if someone comes and assesses it visually, maybe I would certainly believe whatever that person would say would go. Like, honestly, I'm not trying to take advantage of the city or anything like that. I just want to. I feel like the 347 is a little high. Maybe 325, 330 range. I'm not. Like my wife, she's an architect, maybe she might be able to put in a value that she feels is.
I think the boss is still muted there.
Yeah. You said the wife was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Tan? Mr. Tan?
Yes, sorry, yeah.
Okay.
She's saying something, but she's muted.
Was your wife going to give evidence or speak? And if she is muted.
Yeah, I just unmute. I now unmute. Thank you. Yes, I actually thinking maybe around 300,000. Because the damage in the basement low down the value of the house, especially structural issue, the safety concern. That's and beside that's not a realistic. So I don't know about the pricing of the house, but we thinking that it should around 300,000. So to compensate with the loss of the basement foundation issue.
Anything further, Jared?
Thank you.
Okay. When you bought this house, was it a private sale?
It's not a private sale. It go through realtor.
Did you pay $250,000 for the house?
We paid 248,000 at that time. Cause at that time the market is high. It's everyone over big. So and we even cannot have anything like the inspector of the house. So at the time the market is so high demand, and then we hope we can have the house close to our parent-in-law, and my parent-in-law and my son can come to school closer to my parent-in-law. So for those concern and things, so we need to buy at that time.
When you bought the house, did you have an inspection done?
Yeah, we didn't have the inspection because at that time it's a high demand. So it's hard to buy a house if we had the inspection. So we did take a risk at that time. Yeah.
Did you have an appraisal done of the house?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Did you have an appraisal done for the evaluation of to confirm the almost like the purchase price? Was there any other conditions imposed on the offer to purchase?
So
I can speak to that. So we were dealing with our realtor. So our realtor was the one that helping guide us through the sale of the home, and he could help provide us with comparables to comparisons of other houses similar to P43 Beaver Bend. And so we didn't really have an appraisal done, but more what was presented to us in terms of potential other houses that were sold previously in the area, and as well. The realtor is the one who helped guide us in terms of condition of the home, telling us what he saw based on his experience being a realtor for many years, and part of his trades that he's familiar with. And so he will help guide us in terms of the house and how whether it's worth putting an offer in. And so when we did put offers in, unfortunately, like my wife was mentioning, it was very difficult times, obviously, with the markets the way they were. And so we couldn't put in conditions for the home, like say to have a home inspection, and then we asked for a disclosure form, but the previous owner couldn't provide us with, and so that was part of it that we had to take and sign off on, that we were willing to purchase the home without having a disclosure, because their reason was because they never lived in the home, because it was a flip job. Like as it was mentioned previously in the presentation.
So, Mr. Tan, were you aware of the problems with the house or not?
No. Pardon? No. We only discovered that the problem with the house after the water was coming into the basement. When we opened up, we had to open up the walls to figure out what's going on, and that's where we found the wet insulations because of the water. And then when we pulled back the wet insulations, that's when we saw the cracking, all of the substantial cracks.
So did you consider suing the vendor?
We tried we found this out. We did contact our realtor again. And so then with our realtor again, we did contact a lawyer that helped us do the purchase of the home. And we've been back and forth consulting. They asked us to can we prove that the renovators and the previous owners were aware of the cracks? Because we felt that they would have had to open up the walls to do a lot of the reworking of the plumbing and electrical. But it's their word against our word is what the lawyers say. It's hard to prove unless we can get the actual contractor to say, yes, we did open up that wall. But we never had an opportunity to go further because we were like, this is going to take much more time and money, and like we were wanting to get this house fixed up properly and get it done. Like we have a 9-year-old child in the house. Like, we want to make sure we have a safe home for them.
So a couple final questions for you. You've resided in the house for quite some time and have these renovations done. Have you talked to any of the neighbors about whether they had structural problems or any damage like that?
Yeah. So our neighbor on their one side, she did have some water issues in the past when she was living in her home, and so she did have some a sump pump for her home. She had some water coming in. And structural water, I don't remember. She did have structural.
She has just only a small crack on the wall. Then she hired the contractor and they fix it. She mentioned that what I remember that 7 years ago.
Okay, so you've remedied the default or the structural problems in the basement. How much money did you spend in regards to renovating your upstairs and, doing the renovations there?
That was the previous house flip.
The previous one?
Previous house flip.
This is the only one. Okay. Sorry about that. So just for the record, you feel as if the value should be about $325 to $330. Is that correct?
Based on what my wife says, so she says about 300. So I would say maybe 300 to 330. Can we say that, Rich?
Can I add something?
Certainly.
I'm going to add something. I think your wife's got to call something that I've learned I should listen to my wife. So, and I actually agree with your wife on the value. Unfortunately, I was not aware of the structural issues that's going on, but I think 300,000 is a reasonable value given the situation, given the cost to cure, and given the condition of the property.
All right. Summation either party. Final word.
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
Nothing. Leave it with us, and you'll get results very soon. So thank you for your presentations.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, and have a good day.
You as well. Thank you.
All right. We may need to go into a recess. If you'd like to go to a recess, that's fine with me. We'll take 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you. We will call the hearing back to order and we will deal with number 1, Jennifer Bay. So, Mr. Assessor, you can briefly describe this property and then we will deal with it.
The subject property is roll number 0307134700, commonly known as 1 Jupiter Bay. It's located in the neighborhood of Beaumont. It's a 1-story single-family home built in 1964. It has an effective age of 1984. It's had some renovations. Living space is 1,080 square feet. It has a full basement with basement finish, 1 full bath, 1 half bath, 1 extra shower, central air conditioning, no fireplaces, a single attached garage, no detached garages, no pools and no sunrooms. It's located on a plot of land at 6,400 square feet. We have external corner for the land influence. Our 2023 assessment came in at 380,000. And I'm recommending to maintain that value. Just a note here, in 2017 and 2018, it received a fairly substantial renovation where the load-bearing wall was removed and the main floor was renovated. Do you want me to proceed with my comparables, or is that enough for this one?
That's fine. Val, any questions in regards to the presentation by the assessor?
None, thank you.
Jerry, any questions? All right. Just one question, Mr. Gauthier. Any contact there by the client?
We have not made I have not made contact.
No emails, no telephone calls?
Not by myself, no.
All right.
Just gonna comb through the notes here to see if any of my colleagues. So he did, oh no, that's an old note. Yes, he did contact the department in 2022 and spoke to one of my colleagues about the reassessment of the property after the renovations.
But no contact other than that?
Not with myself, no.
All right. I thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Okay. We will set it down for the time being. I thank you. We'll call the meeting or hearing back to order. And we'll have Mr. Newfield affirmed.
Mr. Neufeld, please state your full name.
Rocky Newfeld?
Confirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Newfield, you have 5 properties on the docket? Or is there 6?
Be 5, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Yeah, there were, it's 5. No. Oh, yes, 5. The other one was not mine.
Okay. All right. I understand that there was some late evidence, but it's going to be accepted by the assessor and the panel members. So we'll go to number 153 Rossmere Crescent, which is the first property. So Mr. Gauthier, the floor is yours.
Subject prop.
Before you start, I don't have any of the assessor's evidence.
I think that's what's supposed to happen when you submit late evidence, right?
No, that's not supposed to happen. We went through this a few weeks ago, and
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and we'll go to number 153 Rossmere Crescent. Mr. Gauthier, the floor is yours.
The subject property is roll number 0203019500, commonly known as 153 Rossmere Crescent. It's located in the neighborhood of Kildonan Drive. It's a 1-story single-family home built in 1952. We have 10 years effective age at 1962 on the dwelling. Living area of 1,052 square feet. We have a full basement with no basement finish. We have 1 full bath, no half baths, 1 extra shower. We have no central AC, no fireplace, no attached garages. We have a single detached garage. We have no pools, no sunrooms. It's located on a plot of land at 6,284 square feet. We have the 2023 assessed value set at 314,000. I'm presenting 4 comparable sales today. They're all located in the same neighborhood of Kildonan Drive. They're all 1-story homes, single-family dwellings. Mr. Neufeld, could you mute yourself? We're hearing an echo. Thank you. The ages of the four comparables kind of ranges between 1952 and 1958. Same goes for the effective age. We have a range between 1952 and 1958. Square footage ranges between 990 square feet and 1,036 square feet. They all have full basements. They all have basement finish other than comparable number 4. All have one full bath. Half baths range between 0 and 1. Extra showers are not present in any of the comparables. They all have central air conditioning other than comparable number 4. No fireplaces. No attached garages. All the comparables have either a single or multiple detached garage. There are no pools, no sunrooms present. The land varies in size between 5,594 square feet at the low end and 7,557 square feet at the high end. Note that comparable 3 has a location influence, bus route, commercial adjacent, and heavy traffic. The comparable sales are in our reference period. So they range between 2019 and February 2021. Sale prices range between $295,000 and $350,000. Sale price per square foot ranges at the low end $269 a square foot to $353 a square or $54 a square foot. Time adjusted sale prices, so once we bring these sales to our reference date of April 1st, 2021, range between $330,000 and $353,000. The time adjusted price per square foot ranges between $300 a square foot to $357 a square foot. My recommendation is to maintain the current assessment of $314,000. Note that we requested an inspection on August 22nd, as well as October 17th, to determine the current condition of the property and follow up on a permit to remove walls and renovate the main floor and kitchen. This permit was pulled in October 2020. The agent was unable to accommodate our request and provide any details on the main floor renovations. We did receive the pictures that were also submitted in evidence where the basement is still currently under renovation. I basically had to assume that the main floor is renovated and that the basement remains unfinished. Thank you. That's all for my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, questions?
Yes, just one second. There was something just said that I just want to just be prepared for. Okay, just getting back to your comment on renovations. What exactly did the permit say?
Basically, the permit was to remove 2 walls from the kitchen, creation of a bathroom in the basement, reinforcing walls in the basement, exterior alterations to include windows in the basement.
Okay, so you said that you're assuming the renovations were completed on the first floor and not the basement, correct?
Yeah, and I'm basing that on the pictures that you submitted to one of my colleagues that basically the basement's still under reno. So we wanted to inspect the property to determine the current condition so that we could properly assess it. So we weren't granted that, so I've had to.
And just going back with what your assumptions are, your assumptions were the basement wasn't done and the main floor was, correct?
Correct.
And you based the assessment on those assumptions, correct?
Well, you've kind of forced me to by not allowing me to see the property, correct?
Crimea River. I don't think we have to keep editorializing this issue. There was no time. Now, are you suggesting that removing 2 interior walls increased the value of the property by $60,000?
So 2 walls that were being removed basically gut the kitchen. So usually what that tells me is a full kitchen renovation and a full main floor renovation. That's typically what we see with these type of alterations. Once again, I was willing to come have a look at it. And when you say there's no time, we started asking for inspection on August 22nd or November. So lots of time.
Okay, we heard the story once now, or twice, or 3 or 4 times. But the assumption is removing 2 walls raises the value by $60,000 because then there was assumption of you're making another assumption that more work was done. Is that correct?
That's not correct. So the assumption is if you take 2 walls out of the kitchen, you don't have a kitchen left, right? So unless your client is calling skip the dishes every night, where is he making his food? So I don't know that this permit's been complete. I don't know that the whole house isn't a complete reno pit right now. I don't know. I've had to make assumptions, which is reasonable, given that I wasn't given access to the property to do a proper inspection.
The comparables that you're using, I see you've time adjusted them. You know, where's your backup for this time adjustment?
So Rocky, everyone in Winnipeg knows that values have been going up. So ballpark.
No, I don't know that. I'm asking you, and I want the board.
Ballpark is about 3% a year for the last I don't know how many years. So
what is the rate?
So we actually analyze sales. We don't just stick our finger in the wind. So our modelers look at sales, and we can actually figure out how much markets are moving upwards or downwards over the course of time. And it's not always a straight line. It can be a wavy line. So we actually have some of the best data when it comes to time adjustments. So to suggest that there is no time adjustment.
That's not the question. The question is, did you provide the board with some backup information on time adjustments?
I have not brought backup information.
And when you do time adjustments, how are they done? Do you know what they do? Is it a bulk amount? You take 300 sales and graph them for time, or do you do a paired sales analysis?
So paired sales analysis, as you know, is a method you would use for single property appraisal. In mass appraisal, you would use many sales to come up with value time adjustments. Ours are neighborhood specific or market region specific. They're not perfect. You may have one pocket or one type of dwelling that goes up slightly more or less than another, but for all intents and purposes for what we do, it's close enough.
Does your modeling in determining that there was an increase over time consider physical changes or improvements on the property?
So time adjustment is a separate component. So it doesn't factor in other things. Like it's just basically over the course of time, think about it like inflation, like values of trend up or down in a neighborhood. So it'll look at things. You can actually, there's a really nifty tool on MLS Matrix that'll actually, you can peg neighborhoods and run stats, and I'm sure you've used it before. So I invite you to have a look and see what you find. I use it all the time, Rocky. It's great. A little stats tab.
And Mr. Chairman, I see you're being rather silent on this. Are you going to be amused today, or do you want us to keep it in the straight and narrow?
We've had a prior hearing to you. We've been waiting for a little while, so I sit back and take everything in.
Okay.
But I mean, let's
move on.
Let's deal with all the facts that are here, and that is that I like to go with questions and then an answer, and then not a discussion. Questions and answers. So proceed.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
I thank you. Val, questions of the assessor?
None at this time, thank you.
Jerry?
No, not at this time.
Mr. Gauthier, I noticed that the subject property sold in 2020 for $255,000.
That's correct.
What can you tell me about that?
So, the dwelling was dated. It had an L-shaped kitchen, so 2 of those walls are gone. Shortly after, a permit was taken out to renovate the main floor and basement.
Can you tell me whether it was an MLS sale or private?
I believe this was an MLS sale, actually. As I recall looking at the pictures of it, so.
All right. That's good enough. Mr. Newfield, your presentation?
Thank you. I sent two files and then updated one. So I'm going to speak firstly to the one called 153 Rossmere update. And we're not disputing the facts. Page 1, we're not disputing the facts of that it's 1,000 and maybe we are 1,053 square feet on the internet and 1,052 on the presentation. Maybe that was the base. Those kitchen walls got an extra foot. The sale, bottom line, the sale was 255,000, and that's what it should be. Now, what we presented on the second page are some MLS sales, and I'll get back to those. But I wanted to show you on the following pages the extent of the renovation. The intent was to do some basement work. Now, these pictures were sent to me in September. This is the current state of the basement. It is not finished. It was a stop and start. They couldn't get the person to finish it off because of hard time getting contractors during COVID. This is the way it is right now. So that was the intent, but that's not a finished basement. Now, where that's the issue isn't in dispute. The upper level so-called renovations, I will quote from what the owner told me. His wife didn't like the walls. We removed them. That's the extent of the renovation. Removed walls. I don't know. I've done that in my last house. I did remove several walls, the pony walls that weren't doing anything, and just to give your room a bigger feel. That doesn't increase the value. There's nothing been done on the upper level. The opportunity to inspect, I mean, it's difficult for all of us at this time of year to arrange our schedules to go out. Both parties are working. No one likes people in their house in COVID times, whether it's over or suspended, half in, half out. But I'm testifying under oath, and I'm very, very comfortable with the issues, the presentation made by the owner. They were forthright, and I've known the family for a long time. The family's actually my dad introduced me to them 45 years ago. So there's a comfort level there. Now going to the sales, and that's page 2. This is the summary, and what I want to show you is something. The assessor talks about about their data and how it increases over time. Now take a look at the 2 sales right near the bottom. 160 Linden, first sold in 2019 for 199,000. Sold a year later for 295,000. That's the problem with people who do data and don't do their due diligence. They're picking up the renovations. It's the same problem MLS has. MLS, when they say, prices have gone up, it's not because same house prices have gone up. It's because either people are working on their homes and investing in them and then reselling them, or new product going on the market. When new construction starts, it skews the stats off. And the assessor has just completely indicted their model, because that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is paired sales. Find a house that has not changed physically and look at that over time. And if you need to find 50 examples, that's your way of doing it on a mass appraisal system. So it's wrong. They don't increase. And if you want to know something about common knowledge, it's common knowledge that people are doing this. There's a lot of house flipping going on, and because you're trying to take a tired old home and bring it up. In this case, it's a tired old home. It stayed a tired old home. The sales that I've put in are the MLS pages from the sales that I looked at. And I don't put filters on it. I just simply say, give me bungalows in 3C that range from, I think I plugged in 900 feet to 1,100 feet, and within the 2 years prior to the reference date. And this is what I came up with. As I said, no editing. That's not true. I took out the river sales, anything that was on had river influence. And to see where that's located is, if you take a look at the first one, which is 141 Willow Place, and you scroll down to site influences, this one says fenced, landscape, deck, playground, private setting, shopping, public transportation. So if I saw riverfront, river view, I deleted it. Otherwise, this is everything that's out there on MLS, which also means that it was marketed and met the definition of market value for the transaction. The subject is on the page. And I noticed we did use some of the same sales. The subject is, here we go, it is on the 10th page. So it's a description of what it is, and nothing unusual here. I believe that's a typo up top on original price, but the list was $239 and there was some bidding. It went to $255. In my mind, that's a competitive sale because there was active bidding. Generally, if you see a number below there, it means that it has some market resistance generally. This just shows that it's fairly healthy. Now, I made a mistake here. I should not have put, you'll see that this is the broker site. So I shouldn't have put in the seller's name, I think. I'm not sure, because if I pulled titles, it would have been there. But so we'll just ignore that for now. And the commissions, well, it's irrelevant. And if you scroll down to the one I was mentioning, which was 160 Linden, the two from the bottom, the first sale in 2019 was 199,000, listed at that, sold at that, and this kind of tells you what's wrong with the assessor's model. The first line under remarks: the property is sold as is. So it was a project house, 160 Linden, the first sale. And you go to the next one, and which is the 2021 sale. I haven't even read these, by the way. There's no mention of it being as is. It was renovated, and did go a little under list. So this evidence, I mean, all of these sales, the unedited average is shown at $296 a foot on page 2 of my main brief, and not just disputing that that's the average. This home is just below average, and the sale price is the best market evidence at $255. Now, if you want to add on a few $100s for taking out 2 pony walls, I wouldn't be troubled. Thank you.
Mr. Newfield, did you conclude value?
Yeah, right. 255 sale price. That was on. It's written. So I did these real quickly. Page 2 underneath the chart, sales chart.
Thank you. Mr. Gauthier, questions?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the plans that were submitted on the permits, and knowing that it had an L-shaped interior kitchen and that those 2, you call them pony walls, were removed. They would have electrical, plumbing, and all that in them. Explain to us how they can make a functional kitchen by removing these 2 worthless pony walls.
Well, first of all, your assumption that they have services in them is probably incorrect, because most services at this age of house would be in the main walls. They weren't putting them in. Now, if services had been extended, it would have been restricted to electrical only. So that's just requires a cap. So if it's coming in from the basement, you put a plate there. If it's coming in from the wall, you put a receptacle there. Very simple.
I had one more question. So your claims that the market isn't changing over time and that time adjustments are hogwash. Can you provide us with some unchanged homes paired analysis, a handful of them that actually prove what you're disputing?
Well, I think those are the words that you've invented. I'm saying that the concept of validating your data is at stake here, in that the assessment department puts a model forward and it's based on a bad foundation, in that it doesn't go into the details of the homes. I did not do a paired sales analysis because the sales I'm seeing that are increasing tend to be the same on the same basis, is that it's a flip, and flip sales don't count for increasing in value.
And a paired sales analysis by definition is an unchanged home.
It's one where there's many factors. I'm sorry, were you finished?
Do you have any of those sales that prove the market hasn't been trending upwards? Or is this just hearsay?
I never looked for it. I think I've been doing this long enough. I'm comfortable with those statements that this concept of so-called upward trending is been misstated. Every time there's a news release that says values of homes are going up, it makes me cringe because it's unfounded. The last time Winnipeg really saw some bumps, I mean, there was some activity in 2003, 2004, where there was real market movement for homes just on them alone. And the concept behind it is, what I do in my work, because I do most of the arbitration work, is we look at elastic effect, which is if the market is really moving, we're going to see inferior homes increase at a greater rate than normal homes. So a normal home, 1,000, 1,400 square foot bungalow, 1,800 square foot two-story standards. Abnormal or bad homes, or bad, not bad, but less desirable homes, split levels, no basements. What I've been doing several times is looking at the trending between them. When you see one growing over the other, then that indicates a real market increase, because the space between them begins to shrink because the market is demanding, we'll pay more for what's deemed to be an inferior product. That's other than that, doing a true paired sales is, the last time I did it for grow ops, and it was about 3 years ago. And out of sample size of, I began with about 300 or 400 paired sales. I ended up with 3 that appeared that they hadn't changed. So, and that's not good enough for statistical analysis.
All right, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Ms. Warhan?
Yes, Rocky, I believe you mentioned that in your at the very beginning, this is just a tired old home.
That was being a little over. I just don't see that it's anything that's special or renovated. A lot of people are spending money on it. I'm looking at the pictures here, and I can see they still have cast pipe in the basement, for example. So that would have been one of the first things that gets replaced. Is you get rid of the cast and get rid of that distribution system. Old style, the way that the HVAC covers are over between the beams, and they just take a sheet of steel and put it over between them. You won't see that anymore. Those are the judgments. But there was some electrical And I'm looking at one of these pictures of an electrical that was, it appears it's in progress. So that's the newer one. And the older one has got that old style fiber wrap wiring. So that's dated as well.
Okay.
That's the basis of my observation.
Okay, but yet in the remarks of the MLS listing, when the property was sold, it states that it has nice hardwoods, painted windows, freshly painted windows and shingles were done. Basement has been waterproofed. So by that description, when the property was sold, it doesn't seem to be a tired old home.
Yeah, and this is the first time I've read it, actually. I don't mind setting these things in without looking. I see that. I guess a coating of paint is probably not considered an upgrade. I didn't look, if I wanted to see something that had been done well, I would be looking at, I'm just trying to find a one that I noticed had.
But windows and shingles would be a pricey item. So
Yes.
that home does have a bit of renovation at the time of sale.
Right.
And Fraser's Grove has always been a nice selling, I'll say a nice selling area. It's young families like to go in there. Homes are affordable. And a lot of the homes in that area have been upgraded. So from 2020 to 2023, excuse me, you're stating that that home has not increased in value at all.
Well, no, and
there's no value in there.
Well, I mean, what the issue at stake probably isn't the original condition. The issue at stake is the assessor's comments that upgrades have been done to improve the value, and the base level has not changed. And I suppose I should have said that the base level from time of sale has not changed. Therefore, the sale is a good indicator. And I was just glancing through these sales, and I was looking at page 3 on Cheriton. I look at this, and that tells me we've had some fairly decent a lot of renovations, because they did PVC windows and stainless steel appliances, new flooring and lighting. That would be the statement I would be looking for when someone's renovated or done work. But again, I don't think anything turns on what condition it was at time of sale. What we have to look at is, as I keep saying, this taking 2 pony walls out increased the value by $60,000. That was my point.
Okay, thank you very much.
I thank you. Mr. Arnell?
No, everything's pretty much been asked.
Mr. Newfield, it appears as if your comparables, which are numerous, which are 20, but normally you would probably try to, narrow it down to, probably maybe a quarter. But do you have any shots of the interior at all?
No, I didn't. I thought it was just the basement that was at debate as to the level. So that's all I got from them. I just read to you what the owner had told me about it. And it was just, my wife said, I wanted those walls gone. And that's all we did on the upper level. So I guess my point is nothing's changed from the original market transaction on the upper level, and the basement work hasn't been completed. I don't have shots. And as far as the number of comps, on that note, I think if I was a residential appraiser and I was doing this, you're right, I would narrow this down to some comps. I would have pictures and I would have some knowledge of them. I'm not going to tell you I have knowledge of these. This is mass appraisal.
I thank you, Mr. Newfield. Summation, either party?
I'll summarize. So basically, we have no pictures of the inside of the house. We have permits to renovate walls and kitchens. We've had to make assumptions on the condition of the property, and feel like our value is accurate. We would be more comfortable, and we would appreciate if we could come in and have a look at the house and give an accurate assessment, especially in regards to the main floor situation. But given that that they haven't cooperated, then I think it's fair to leave these assumptions in place until we can prove otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newfield?
That was quite an interesting statement. I'm not a lawyer, but I just think we heard a violation of the burden of proof. If I don't know what it looks like, I'm going to assess you too high until you prove it's not. That's not the way it works. The way it works is you can't value based on assumptions. No one can do that. The burden of proof requires proof, as they say. We have a sale, good, valid sale. We have some debate on how much was done. Leave it at the sale price, arrange an inspection, do a sub. When the permit is closed, and that's the key. It's not when it's open, it's when it closes. Permit's still open.
Hit mute, I think.
You hit the mute.
Oh, he's back.
Okay.
Wait, did you get any of that? Or was I speaking to myself? It was good.
We got most of it, I think.
I'll just briefly restate it in case some clipped out. It's the concept of burden of proof. You cannot assess on an assumption. You can only assess on fact. We have a good sale. If it is wrong and if it is in better condition, when the permit is closed, the assessor should inspect and then look and see if there was an increase in his opinion that's worthwhile looking at. That's the way it works.
I thank you. Let's move on. The next one in question is number 50, Sanford Bay. Mr. Assessor, floor is yours.
The subject property is roll number 10004551100, commonly known as 50 Stanford Bay. It's located in South Tuxedo. It's a 2-story single-family home built in 1976. We have no effective age on the property or on the dwelling. Living area is 1,826 square feet, has a full basement. We have basement finish on file, 1 full bath, 3 half baths with 2 extra showers, central AC. We have 3 fireplaces. We have an attached multiple garage, no detached garages. We do have an in-ground pool, no sunrooms. It's located on a plot of land that's 9,757 square feet, so pretty typical for that area. We have the assessed 2023 assessed value set at $566,000. I'm presenting 4 comparable sales today. They're all located in South Tuxedo, 2-story homes, single-family dwellings, built between 1978 and 1986. Effective ages range between 1983 and 1991. Square footage ranges between 782 square feet and 2,080 square feet. They all have full basements other than comparable number 2 that has a full and part area. So there's probably an addition that was added on crawl space, I guess. They all have basement finish. Full baths range between 1 and 2. Half baths are 2 across the board. So they all have 2 half baths. And extra showers range between 1 and 2. They all have central AC. Fireplaces range between 1 and 2. They all have multiple attached garages. No detached garages. None of the comps have pools or sunrooms. The land size is fairly tight range. At the low end, 7,818 square feet, and at the high end, 11,720 square feet. Note that comparable number 2 has a rail line influence. The sales vary between December 2018 and March 2021. Sale prices range between 545,000 at the low end and 665,000 at the high end. The sale price per square foot range is 271 a square foot to 320 a square foot. Time adjusted sales prices, the range there is between, at the low end, 553,000 and at the high end, 715,000. Time adjusted sale prices per square foot range between 271 a square foot and 344 a square foot. My recommendation is to maintain the assessed value of 566,000. I want to note here there was a December 8th, 2020 sale at 500,000, but I'll get to that in a little bit more detail. The purchase price of 500,000 is supported actually by land sales in the area, and I'm not aware of any reason why the property should be valued at land value. I requested inspection on the property October 17th. That was not granted by the authorized representative. One of the concerns I have here, Rocky was mentioning the definition of market value, and one of the principles of that is basically that the property is exposed to the market for a reasonable amount of time. I want to note here that the listing agent, there was basically 0 days on the market. The listing agent double-ended the deal. And it appears to me, so the listing agent sells for KDR Homes. It appears to me that she sold it to a business associate for 500,000. So I'm not sure that it is an open market transaction that was properly exposed. I feel if it was properly exposed, that our assessed value would be more accurate. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ripfield.
Okay, so you're suggesting that the real estate agent was in collusion to sell this house at a lower price to some favorable party?
I'm suggesting that there's signs here that it was not properly exposed to the marketplace. Well, not only do the comparable sales not support the value, I have land sales in my brief there that's basically confirmed the value of the land. So I don't know why it went for so cheap. So I look at this and I go, well, 0 days on the market, it wasn't exposed. I look, well, the listing agent also was the buyer's agent. And then when I find out that, you know, the new owner is the operations manager at KDR Homes and that the listing agent sells KDR Homes, then yeah, some red flags are going off in my head for sure. But I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying I would have preferred to see it, Rocky, and then I can make my own opinion.
Well, I'm just trying to clarify what you're actually saying about it, because, I mean, those are rather serious accusations. This could land a broker or lose his license from what you're saying. And are you aware that how serious these are?
I'm not making any accusations. I'm just saying that it doesn't meet the definition of fair market value because it hasn't been exposed to the marketplace for a reasonable amount of time.
We're in the public. It's on YouTube. Everyone's going to see it. So
that's fine. I'm agree with that.
These people can hear what you have to say, and I'm just wondering if you know this sort of statement is supported by your supervisors in the assessment department.
I would have preferred to see it so that I can make an accurate.
Question: is this statement supported by your supervisors?
I've not run this by my supervisor, Rocky. I'm stating the facts here. The facts are on the MLS listing that you can look at, and feel free to ask your client what their relationship is. Feel free to ask whatever question.
Talking about them, we're talking about.
Hey, gentlemen, it's an assumption that is present or presented. We're still dealing with what the assessed value is. Okay, so let's proceed.
Okay. Now, what would be a typical time on the market? Do you know?
So basically what realtors typically do in a hot seller's market is you don't accept any offers until you've shown it to the marketplace for 7 days. at least, so that you can have time for an open house, time for everybody to see it, and then typically you would accept offers somewhere down the road. But generally speaking, if I see a property that's exposed to the marketplace for a week in a hot market, that's a reasonable amount of time. In a slower market, it might be a different situation, like we're moving into a different type of market where exposure might be different. But 0 days on the market is by no means appropriate for a reasonable amount of time on the market.
And have you sold a lot of homes?
Actually, I have, Rocky. I used to be a realtor.
Okay. And so then you're...
And an AIC member.
And
So the
you're...
Appraisal Institute of Canada, the same institution you're accredited by. So, yes.
So you are aware of the practices of, and you mentioned them, how you have a notice comes out before the weekend to say showings on the weekend, offers accepted on a certain day. When do they start the clock ticking? Do you know?
So when you plug in your listing today.
Gentlemen, I'm going to interject here because this has got nothing to do with value of this house. We're after the assessed value. What the city has concluded, they've concluded at 566.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry, I'm not going to listen to somebody talk about how they market the house.
I'm not.
There's a sale of the property, land titles has got a value. They will accept certain things. If in doubt, they would reject it.
and again, I wasn't going down this path. I didn't start this. I just found those comments to be troublesome.
Let's proceed.
Okay. Now so we have an MLS sale, and you have a number of sales. I want to get back to them, of properties. Now, is there a premium paid for an address like Park?
Not Park East. So if you actually look at my map, there's actually, you can deduct sometimes with Park because some of them back onto railway tracks, some of them back onto hydro lines, and some of them back onto multifamily homes. So Park East, not really. As a matter of fact, you can deduct a lot of value. Certain park addresses, absolutely, are some prime lots and locations in that neighborhood. But be careful, the word park doesn't necessarily mean park.
But
some of the valued properties in the neighborhood are on Park East.
Three of your sales are the south side of Taylor, and one sale is on the north side of Taylor. Is there a distinction?
Typically, I only really do a distinction between Old Tuxedo. As far as what some people call Middle Tuxedo and South Tuxedo, is there a distinction? As far as a location adjustment, I've actually studied land values in these areas, and it's pretty similar. The minute you go into Old Tuxedo, though, look out. There's a different story.
And you were talking about land value. So what does this mean? Are you suggesting that the sale may have been for land value?
The sale is really close to land value.
What does that mean?
That means the land value in that neighborhood hovers between 450 and 500,000. And I don't know why this property went so low. I've been scratching my head about it. And I would have loved to take a look at it to see why. And maybe there is good reasons why, but I don't have those reasons, and I wasn't given access to the property. So
whether
in
it's
average condition, I scratch my head and I go, why did it go for so low? I don't know. Maybe you know.
Okay, whether it's sold for land value or improved value, why would that matter? It's still market, isn't it?
No, because
did someone say, I want to give you a discount because I just dropped my price?
Proper. It's two parties that are well educated, that are not under duress. It's a property that's marketed for a reasonable amount of time. That's what fair definition of market value is. So I'm not sure this sale meets that definition. So I don't know what went wrong here. I don't know what's wrong with this house, but I can tell you that I can't find a single comparable sale that justifies such a low value. And everything I know and look about the house, I can't tell why it went for so low. Like, is it sinking through the ground, Rocky? Is there something wrong with the house? Like, let us know. Or let us come look at it so that we could figure it out. But at this point, there's no reason why it should have gone for so low.
You've made the same time adjustment. Is that again based on the same model that was explained in the last hearing?
There is time adjustment factored in my brief here for the time adjusted sale prices. That's correct.
I'm asking, is this done by the same method as explained earlier?
That would be correct.
Okay. Now, going back to the concept of land value versus improved value, when the time adjustments are made, is there a distinction made between homes that you discovered later may have been for a land value versus the improved?
So we do have a land value model that we use for land only. So there's sometimes could be a difference between the pace of market increase or decrease of land versus improved properties. But in this particular case, it would have, because it's an improved property, it would have fallen in the model of improved properties.
Well, you have 5 sales.
Typical time adjustment for Tuxedo is basically what would have been applied here.
Okay, you have 5 sales listed pages 2 and 3 that you're claiming are land value. Were these input into the model as land or improved?
So when we see a house that gets sold and a permit gets immediately pulled to tear the house down, we put it in our land model because there's no magical parcels of land in Tuxedo that are just sitting there as vacant land, right? You have to doze one down. So that's by definition a land sale. When the intent is clear, someone purchases the land. As I pointed out here at 514 Laidlaw, sold for $459. And then they got to doze the place. So, and this is a 2018 sale, so there's also a time adjustment required there. This is why my conclusion is 50 Stamford went for pretty much land value. And I'm scratching my head and going, I don't know why.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just looking for a very simple answer. Were these input as land or improvement? I wasn't looking for the story. Does he know or not know? Or yes, no, or don't know is all we were looking for. Can we try that?
These would typically have fallen under our land sale models. Okay.
Were these input as land sales or improved sales to your knowledge?
Well, I can speak to a couple of them for sure. Okay, so Avon Lynn was a vacant piece of land. There was nothing built there when it sold. So that's a good example of just a vacant piece of land. Didn't have to doze anything there. I believe 519 Kelvin went for 500,000. That was also a vacant piece of land. So the previous owner had dozed the house and marketed the land as vacant. This is from my memory here. Hosmer, if I remember, that probably had a house on it that had to be dozed. And I'm not sure about Park. But they're either vacant pieces of land or homes that were purchased where immediately someone pulls a permit to doze the house and has the intent to use it as land. So basically what I'm getting at here is these land sales basically show the land value is somewhere between 450 and 500 grand in that area. And once again, I don't know why this sale went for so low. Now, had we received a permit to doze 50 Stanford, then I wouldn't be scratching my head and go, well, now I understand what happened. Someone bought a house that's not worth repairing or there's problems and they want to build a new house and it's a land sale. But I don't know these facts because I have to assume.
Okay, so I think I read that answer to be 2 went land and the other 3 you don't know.
Well, they're all considered land sales as far as the definition of land sales in an improved neighborhood. So whether it's purchased with the intent to doze That's a land sale, or it's a vacant piece of land. The primary difference, as you know, is there's a cost to get rid of the improvements, okay? 20, 30 grand to doze the place, so.
We're asking model questions here, not about that. I just want to know.
This is not modeling. This is me finding and identifying 4 land sales that basically show that this property sold for land value. Okay? So nothing to do with the model. This has to do with me sitting at my desk and identifying land sales. Okay?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I am having difficulties. I find these answers to be unresponsive. I think it was clear what I was asking. I don't know how to interpret this, so I'm finished with questions.
I thank you. Ms. Warhan?
None at this time, thank you.
I thank you. Jerry?
So just so I understand this correctly, you're saying that this property is worth 500,000? It hasn't increased at all? It's from 2020?
We're questioning the assessor.
Oh,
Okay, it's okay. It's okay.
I can answer that. That's okay.
So I wasn't really asking that.
Jerry?
I'm good.
Oh, wait. I mean, if you're asking me.
No, that's fine. Sorry, no questions.
Mr. Newfield, your presentation.
Thank you. Well, it's going to turn out to be an interesting day here. So this house on 50 Stanford, purchased by my friend Rosario. He used to live across the street from me. He's the son of Diego, who owns KDR Homes. He's getting married next year, and they're going to live in the house. I don't know why I bothered telling you, but it just seems that we're going in the wrong direction here. This was a sale, a purchase, a reasonable purchase. You know what? I sold Rosario my motorcycle. I sold it for market value to him as well. So.
But did you expose that motorcycle for a reasonable amount of time?
And the idea that's being suggested on, whoa, I don't know if it's land value or improvement value, is who cares? It's sold. Nothing's changed. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Now, the sale happened, the meeting of the minds, the MLS sign-off date was December of 2020. Possession and title didn't happen until May. There were some hitches with conditions being lifted, so they never even got possession of it until after the reference date. So as far as one would consider about any time being passed, no, it was nothing had happened in that interim period. It was just waiting for conditions to be lifted. The sale stands by itself as a good indication of market value. The concept of marketing, realtors have different abilities, different tactics, different uses. 0 days, it's actually, there have been negative days on it. And it really depends when you enter on MLS, your system. But if you're throwing an open house, you're not really obligated to put it up your listing at that particular time. You've got to put it up, you've got to put notifications up that they're coming. That's what happens in a market. It's get the bidding war, get it going up front. Ideas of double ending homes, well, that's happens all the time. There's rules in the appraisal in the securities for brokers who carry accreditation that you double end a home. Sure, why not? But you think the owner of a property is going to say, you mean that guy offered more money, but you want to take this one because you get a better commission? No, you lose your license for stuff like that. It's just the way it is. And then this discussion is very bothersome to me, and that people who stake their careers on their integrity and their licenses we'd even talk about it. Unless there's proof, it shouldn't be discussed. Now, the sales we've looked at, I did the same thing on Stanford as I did for the other ones, which was to run a sheet of all the sales that were in 1E. I chose 2 stories between 1,700 and 1,900 feet, and it just narrows it down a bit. And then all of these sales were then compiled and submitted. Now I forgot to summarize them on my page, but they're in the file marked Stanford sales, and there are there was a relative consistency on these. The real issue is that a lot of homes in Tuxedo or West Taylor are now reaching the age where sometimes they're more interest as land and sometimes they're sold for the improvement. But again, it doesn't matter. It's market value. Who cares? What if it were land value? We'd still have the same debate because that's what was paid for it. And if there's going to be a change down the road, well, then the permit for demo gets taken out, and then they put an improvement on, and then the assessor reassesses. So the rest of it is really not a concern. We have a good, valid sale, and at $500,000, and there's and very, very close to the reference date. So I submit that should be adequate evidence to prove what the value is. Thank you.
So for the record, Mr. Newfield, 500,000?
That's correct.
Right. Mr. Gauthier, a question?
No questions for this time.
Bill?
Yes, Mr. Neufeld, I'm looking at all the sales that you have presented here. I'm hoping those were yours. You've got 4, sorry, let me just go down. You've presented 5 sales.
Yes, that's correct.
And if you go through all the sales, you'll notice that the sale prices range from $545, not including the subject property. The next one at $675, the next one at $618, and one here I'm looking at number 4 at $620, and number 5, I'm right here, number 4 and number 5 at $620, number 4. So you're presenting sales that show way above the subject property, and yet you're arguing that the subject property should only be assessed at $500,000. I'm just not seeing why you're using these comparables of higher sales, and yet arguing that the subject property should only be valued at $500,000. Could you just explain that to me just a little bit more, please?
Certainly. Well, this neighborhood in Winnipeg has the highest average sale price of all places in Winnipeg. And it's a mix of different valued homes. The goal of any smart person wanting to go into the neighborhood is look for the worst home in the best neighborhood, because then you've got an upside down the road. This is what Rosario did. And being in the business, yeah, they got better connections than most people, but they get outbid for properties all the time. I deal with his father and his commercial work. He doesn't get sales given to him. He's got a bid for them. In this case, it's just an inferior. Now, if you're looking through them, you would probably want to focus on issues like age and location. 77 Park Place is newer, and it has more amenities, and Grenfell is a far better location, although it's older. It is what they call an older character home. Sorry, I didn't put the pictures in here. I thought I did. The next one on Chataway is again an older home, but again it's a different location. Old Tuxedo more versus new Tuxedo. 1E encompasses all of it. The realtors deem this to be a fairly homogeneous neighborhood. And Girton is also deemed to be, it's older, but it's in a better neighborhood. Now, one of the things, and I would just wanted to double check all this here, is, lot sizes are also a factor. And some of these do have very different lot sizes as well, and redevelopment potential. A lot of the ones, it's true, a lot of these homes get purchased for demolition. We don't know which ones do and which ones don't until it happens. One of the assessor's sales, Hosmer, I knew about that one. I know who bought it. And it was going to be planned was eventually probably going to be redone. But these, it's just a neighborhood difference on it. There were on Bauer nearby prior to this, 2 years prior to this. I mean, there were 3 or 4 sales there that were in the same level, and just didn't happen to be any in this year. It's I guess I could have expanded the list. An average of a home, looking at the other properties, isn't really going to deem its value. The ultimate decision is made by the market. If this was a valuable home, when it got exposed to the market, it would sell for more. And that's the reliance on the market.
Okay, so you're basing your comparables on location only, stating that this is an inferior home because of location, but yet it's got 3 fireplaces, in-ground pool, is in South Tuxedo. Okay.
Well, first of all, in-ground fireplaces are a buyer preference. It's not an amenity. If you want one, then you pay. If you don't want one, you don't want it. Me, I hate fireplaces. I don't get them. A pool adds nothing to anyone's value because it depends on how old is the pool, what sort of shape it's in, do you want it? But added value for a pool, it's a user preference. Again, I had a house with a pool. When I went to sell my house, I said, I asked my realtor, what would be better? Do I bulldoze it and fill it in, or to replace the liner? And he says, I can't tell you that, but he's kind of leaning towards bulldoze it or fill it in. It was cheaper to put in the new liner. It's pool's nothing.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Questions? No, summation, either party.
I'll summarize real quick. Like I said, I wish I would have seen the property and make my own decisions, but based on what I can see here is I'm not convinced that had it been exposed properly to the marketplace, that it would have sold for what it did sell for. And I think that our assessment is fair, given that the lowest comparables, in the area support that value. So basically assuming that it's not in great shape or whatever, the value is at 566 and supported by the lower end of the comparables. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newfield?
Well, once again, we have some deviance from what we're supposed to be looking at. Again, the burden of proof. We have a market sale. Do we care what it is? That's what it's sold for. We have a statement, I don't know if it was exposed to the market. Well, that's what MLS is for. The assessor found the listing. I found the listing. People found the listing. It's sold. And that's the best evidence of a property's value. That's the test of market value, the best test, not my opinion, the assessor's opinion. What did the market decide? And it was $500,000, no matter what. Thank you.
All right. We'll go to the next one, which is 1000 Wellington Crescent. And after that, we will take about a 5-minute or 10-minute break. So Mr. Assessor, 1000 Wellington Crescent, the floor is yours.
The subject property is roll number 120427170000, commonly known as 1000 Wellington Crescent. It's located in the neighborhood of Wellington Crescent. It's a one-story single-family home. Mr. Neufeld, could you mute your? We're getting feedback again. Thank you. The year built is 2020, so it's brand new construction. We have 3,964 square feet of living space. We have a full basement with basement finish, 3 full baths, 1 half bath, 2 showers, central air conditioning, 1 fireplace, 1 multiple attached garage, no detached garages, no pools, and no sunrooms. It's located on a rather large plot of land, 22,474 square feet. Being on Wellington, it does have a light traffic influence. It is also on an external corner. We have the 2023 assessed value at $2,100,000. Today, I'm presenting 4 comparable sales. They're all located, they're either in South Tuxedo or Tuxedo. They're 1-story homes, single-family dwellings. The range of year built varies between 1988 and 2021. The effective age ranges between 1993 and 2021. Square footage range between 2,524 square feet and 4,262 square feet. They all have comps number 3 and 4 have full basements. Comps number 1 and 2 have full and part areas. They all have basement finish. Full baths range between 2 and 3. Half baths range between 1 and 3. Showers, extra showers are all 2 across the board. They all have central AC. Fireplaces range between 1 and 2. They all have a multiple attached garage, no detached garages. None of the comps have, one comparable, sale number 2 has a pool. Sunrooms, none of the comparables have sunrooms. Land varies between 8,252 square feet at the low end, all the way to 15,626 high end. I made a special note here because this is a special consideration for this property that I gave an approximate land value for the comparables. So what's important to note is the subject's property's land value is around $950,000. Okay. And that I've listed here the values of the approximate land values of the comparables ranges between $450,000 and $550,000. The comparable sales range between August 2018 and March 2021. Sale prices range between $1,506,000, call it, to $2,041,000. The sale price per square foot range varies between 806 a square foot at the high end, all the way down to 422 a square foot. Time adjusted sale prices range between $1,546,000 all the way to $2,041,000. The time adjusted sale price per square foot, that ranges between 457 a square foot all the way to 806 a square foot. I'm recommending to maintain the assessed value of $2,100,000. Note that the comparables require an upward location and land adjustment between $400,000 and $500,000 to compensate for the subject's land value and location. Below are land sales to support this adjustment. Also note the comparable number 3 and 4 requires substantial upward size adjustments to the tune of around 400 a square foot. So once appropriate size and location adjustments are applied, it's my opinion that our 2023 value is actually low. I provided a map of my comparables. The land sales that we have, the actual subject sold in 2016 for $838,000. 928 Wellington, similar size property. These are not river properties, by the way. Another land sale at $940,000. 1034 Wellington, slightly smaller parcel of land sold for 940,000. So I'm quite confident in the land value. I've given examples here. We've already reviewed this previously, but these are South Tuxedo and Tuxedo land sales, so you can see the spread between the location and land value. So a little bit unusual, but today I'm going to present a cost approach. And I'm going to start off with a definition of the cost approach. So the cost approach is based on an understanding that market participants relate value to cost. In the cost approach, appraisers derive the value of a property by adding the estimated value of the site to the current cost of constructing a reproduction or replacement of the improvements, and then subtracting for depreciation in the structures from all causes. Entrepreneurial profit or incentive may be included in the value indication. This approach is particularly useful in valuing new or newly improved properties that are not frequently exchanged in the marketplace. Cost approach techniques can be employed to derive information needed in the direct comparison in income approaches to value, such as the cost to cure items or deferred maintenance. The current cost to construct the improvements can be obtained from estimators, cost manuals, builders, and contractors. Depreciation is measured through market research and the application of specific procedures. Land value estimate is estimated separately in the cost approach. And this is from the Appraisal of Real Estate, 3rd edition, 2002. What I've provided here is a cost approach. This is the form that the Appraisal Institute of Canada uses. So Rocky might be familiar with it. So you indicate the land value, the cost per square foot to construct the dwelling. So I have here, and you'll see where I got these values from. But the cost to construct.
Please object. I'm really finding that the assessor's use of my name and directing it personally is very bothersome. You know that the rules of the hearing are comments are addressed to the chair, not to the crowd.
All right. So in the cost approach here, we have 3,964 square feet at 400 a square foot. So that gives you $1,585,600 and $600. We then have the basement finish at $50 a square foot, $132,500. A veranda of 334 square foot at 100 per square foot. So the cost to basically construct the improvements is $1,751,500. Add the land of $950,000, and I'm coming in at $2.7 million. Where did I get these values? I've actually provided this board examples here that have sold on MLS where they actually state the land value and you can basically extract the cost. These are Huntington homes. The subject property is built by Art Gross Builders, a very, in my opinion, a higher end builder than Huntington. But even if you use Huntington and Artista numbers, they do support my cost approach. And it's probably, in my opinion, the cost approach is probably the most relevant approach to figure out the value of this property. But I've also presented the comparables as well. That'll be it for my presentation.
I thank you. Mr. Newfield? Mr. Newfield?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just sorry here. I was just looking for something. Now, in your concept of cost approach, why is there no depreciation?
Well, it's built in 2020, so your typical depreciation schedule, you might be looking at 70 years, 100 years. So if you wanted to depreciate for 1 year, then I suppose you could go ahead. But it felt like a brand new property like that probably doesn't deserve depreciation for 1 year. But feel free to add it. Like.
Are you speaking of physical depreciation?
Yes, it would be physical depreciation.
Well, aren't there other forms of depreciation?
Gentlemen, we're getting off track here. The cost approach is not relevant probably here. It is just a theory that is here. We have an assessed value for the subject property, which is $2,000,001. So we're going to not look at the cost approach for the time being. because houses do sell market value. So let's concentrate on that, Mr. Newfield.
Well, thanks. I wish you would have said that earlier, before the cat got let out of the bag.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I was looking for. The sales that you've, first of all, do you know anything about the subject sale? Do you know the motivation, what the reasoning was?
The subject sale, you mean the land sale in 2016?
The purchase of the property by the current owner. Do you know anything about it?
Wait a second. It didn't sell, okay?
No, it did. It sold. There was a previous sale.
That was back in 16.
Right.
Or they doze the house.
Okay.
But I'm asking, does the assessor know anything about the sale?
All I know is what's relevant is the house that was on there, I guess, was bulldozed to make room for this new construction.
Was there any verification done of the sale?
I don't have that noted. I don't have that noted here. I didn't vet or look at the sale too much. I looked at other comparables to determine land value, which I presented in my brief.
Okay, so that's all I was asking. You didn't review it. Now, your sales, I heard you say earlier there's a difference between old Tuxedo and new Tuxedo. Is it fair to say the 4 sales you relied on are from new Tuxedo?
Yeah, so South Tuxedo and Middle Tuxedo, but none of them are in Old Tuxedo.
Were there any sales there? Was there a lack of sales?
These ones I felt were, instead of presenting 20 or 30 sales, I try to narrow it down to the ones that are the most relevant. Definitely a struggle with something like this. That's why I said earlier, I believe the cost approach is probably the most relevant, but it is a known appraisal method that is recognized. But no, I have 4 comparable sales here. These are the ones that I thought were the best.
I see. Now, you have comparables 3 and 4 being substantially smaller. So what was the adjustment done in those for the size?
Well, typically for a size adjustment, some kind of quality that we're dealing with here, as I've presented in my evidence here, it's not unreasonable to adjust $400 a square foot.
Was there an adjustment done for the size on these sales?
In these sales that I'm presenting, I have not size adjusted them, but I have noted in my brief that they do require size adjustments and location adjustments.
Okay, and would these be consistent with the principle of economy of size?
So your labor cost is going to be the same. Your 2x4 you don't save money buying more. And honestly, 3,964 square foot on Wellington is not overbuilt. So no, I don't think the economies of scales are something that the marketplace, like, that makes sense in the marketplace. There is such a condition as overbuilt for an area, or you build too much. So if this house was in Windsor Park, I'd tell you, like, wow, doesn't belong there, and it's going to get slaughtered on the value. But on Wellington, I'm not concerned about that.
The reason I'm asking is I'm looking at these sale prices, and it appears that the 2 larger homes closer in size sold for 420 to 471 square foot, while the 2 small ones were 596 to 805. Does that not give you some concern that there is an economy of scale?
Well, there's other factors here. 39 Dunbar is also built in 1988. So we can't just isolate and say, well, if I had a similar house at 1002 Wellington on a similar piece of land that was half the value that sold, then I could come to those type of conclusions. But there's a lot of variables here.
Well, speaking specifically to the rate per square foot was my question. And when you bring up other variables, but Dunbar has more land. So in the long run, aren't we looking at an economy of scale that was not applied to the subject?
So Dunbar's on 15,626 6 square feet of land, and the subject is on 22,474. So it's actually on less land. And I'm suggesting location and land value adjustment of about 550,000. Between Dunbar and the subject.
And as far as people looking for a home, are they going to be the same group of people? Would the same buyer be looking for, should I buy a 2,500 square foot home, or do I want a 4,000 square foot home? Are they the same group of buyers?
No, I mean, like the same group of buyers. Honestly, like when I look at the subject, it's in a different class of buyers. It's a buyer that wants a specific location and is willing to pay almost $1 million for the land and build a custom home with one of the best builders they can find in the city. Dunbar is an older house built in 1988, back in its day, back in its glory. This was top of the line back then, but we have an effective age of 1993 on Dunbar. So this is an old dated home, not a brand new top of the line best builder money can buy with. So this is why I circle back, and I know that not everybody feels the same way, but honestly, the most accurate way to value this house is the cost approach. And I'll stand by that.
Mr. Newfield?
Yes, I'm just thinking here. No more questions.
Thank you. Valerie?
None, thank you.
Yuri?
This time, no.
Mr. Newfield, your presentation?
Thank you. So again, we're hearing about assumptions again, and I really thought we were here to talk about facts and value, not value and assumptions. The owner of this property he and his family have been my client since I'm trying to remember the date, 1996. Known them for a long time. My father worked with his father in the loading docks in the 50s. So, I'm not strangers to this. They bought this. They wanted a Wellington Crescent address for sure. And the original home that was there, the first plan was they had taken to their builder and said, we want to look at taking this home and adding on to it, and because it was a nice sized lot, and we want to take advantage of the existing building and expand, and we wanted a particular way, we want a driveway set. And what ended up happening is the builder said, no, we can't do that. It's far too costly to add on to this. So they decided to demolish. And that's the way a lot of these houses in Tuxedo are going. Very few people walk in and say, I think I'm going to buy that, demolish it, and rebuild. Now, there are a few. Qualico built one on, I can't remember the name of the street, right beside Assiniboine Park, with the purpose of building a new home. And I know that there's another one with an underground garage where it was built with that. But a lot of people doing it, they want to get the address, they want to get the neighborhood, and they really hope to be able to keep parts or all of existing buildings. That was the case. But plan B. Okay, let's start all over. This construction took a long time. And then they ended up with a home. So that's the background behind it. So when someone was chasing a land sale and saying you bought it for land value, no, that's not the case. It's deeper than that. And that's because I don't make assumptions. I ask questions and I find out what people were thinking. The value we had looked at was what I had done on page 2 is taken in the MLS search system. You can use draw a picture, a frame around the properties you want to look at. What I selected, as you can see, is I took from the Assiniboine River south to Academy. So what we get is Wellington and all of the streets like Yale and Ash and Grenville, Waterloo, Nanton that are close to it. And what we know is that the North Academy of Academy properties have a far different value than those that are located south of Academy. It's a different market area. And it's like being on Main Street, you know, if you want to be on the right side of Main Street, on the east side of Main Street or the west side of Main Street to a degree. These are, that's the border. And because this isn't a river view, that was a very reasonable proposition. So you can tell that by just looking at the numbers, but there's none of the numbers. I think the numbering starts for most of them about 140, 150. And goes down, and for some of the streets that are in a deeper part of Academy, they'll go to 200, and that's what I came up with. And we have varied prices. They range from I guess 250 a foot to 800 a foot, and the mean is 484. The mean is 352. What I did after that is I'm just showing you how the process worked, and then I went through them and I looked for ones that were closer and newer and or of higher quality. And you can see the ones I ended up with were built in 2020, 2005, 2018, 2005. And that mean is $484. This is how it came about with the value. It said 484. Same as the subject. All the comps are listed on my sales page. Again, I made a mistake in not putting in pictures. Girton, of course, is at the high end, and it's actually quite a substantial building, and you can see from the description about what it has. With dumbwaiters, and that when we start getting into dumbwaiters, we're talking about a different type of property. But this was a custom built home, and but one home doesn't make a market. And then we look at the other ones that on Waterloo and 2020 build, and 646 Wellington, which was a 2005 build, and Grenfell, that one I missed. That's 1965 build, but that was actually actually looked really good. It was a custom build at the time and well maintained. Borebank, 2018 build, and Niagara, 2005 build. Oh, I see what I did here. 6 of 6. Okay, I gave you the listing for Grenfell, but I didn't include it in my final analysis, so I wasn't that crazy. Okay, so there we go. I did the right thing. I just I had the MLS listing, which I didn't delete from the ones I was bringing in. That's 135 Grenfell. So that wasn't relied on for my my work up here. No, it never hit it. I didn't use it. Okay. So all newer, all 2 stories, all north of Academy, all influenced by the Wellington Crescent factor, and just extending to the subject and applying, it's 1,920,000. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Gauthier, questions?
Yeah. So my first question is, I'm just looking at these sales here, this grouping of sales, and I just want to ask, do you honestly believe it's appropriate to use comps built in the 1920s and 1960s, averaging them out without adjusting for age, condition, location, or land value? Do you think this is appropriate?
I don't think you were listening to me. I didn't use them.
Well, I'm seeing 484 a square foot. Is that not? This isn't okay. So this is an average that you use between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sales. Is that correct?
5 sales, the new sales.
Okay, now I understand. Thank you. So, for example, 204 Waterloo Street. So you mentioned about this golden border on Academy, and I actually agree with you. 204 Waterloo, though, is on the other side. It's on the south side of Academy. The land there sold for $320,000. I'm actually presenting sales that support a land value of over $900,000 on the subject. Do you not think it would be appropriate to have like a $600,000 location in land adjustment on top of a size adjustment for 204 Waterloo, one of your comps?
Firstly, your concept of land is your burden. We're talking about the market value of a house, and I'm looking at that address, and I think it is possible that is South Academy. And if you look back at my page 2 of my original brief, so 204 Waterloo came in at 482 a foot, which is almost the same as the average. Take it out, number doesn't change.
My next question is 646 Wellington Crescent. It's you get the noise from an overpass, you get you're across from a hospital. I don't remember what the land value was there, but that property took it in the chin, to say the least, when it sold. Did you factor in any location adjustments for the poor location of 646 Wellington?
Well, I think that if you're going to make statements like that, you have to support them on more than just a hearsay and opinion. The issue of whether there's noise, I mean, I hear people make those statements all the time. Someone says, I'm on the flight path of this, or I'm on the flight path of that, or there's this other influence. That's the reason people buy in Wellington is to have an address on Wellington. Now, 646, if you look at the listing on it, it was a Merrick home, custom designed by the Lloyd Sector. I don't know who that is. This was a decision made in 2005 to build this home, and there's no indication that there's a detriment. Detriments are a little bit too subjective. You know, I live beside a graveyard, and I could say, "Whoa, that's a bad thing." No, it's probably a good thing. There's noise, neighbors are quiet, but you know, everybody's got an opinion. It's mostly just anecdotal.
So 646 Wellington Crescent was built in 05. We discussed earlier depreciation. Have you factored in any depreciation or size adjustments for the smaller size of the dwelling?
Well, living area at 3480 is pretty close to the subject, so I probably wouldn't factor anything there. And if it were, it'd be a downward adjustment, but it'd be so small. The depreciation, you know, that's we're doing this on market, so the market has already demonstrated its depreciation by deciding how much it should sell for. It's not the cost approach; it's the sales, which is reflecting the market and any possible depreciation.
Okay, 95 Boardbanks, located on a parcel of land that's got a 25-foot frontage, 25 by 120 square foot deep lot. Have you factored that in when you took an average? Factor in the square feet, that there's a pretty substantial difference between a lot that's challenging to build on, to say the least, and the subject property that's on one of the choicest locations on one of the choicest streets in the city. It has 22,474 square feet of land.
Well, the concept of a pie lot is very common in Winnipeg. They exist everywhere. So this, I'm just looking at this 25. We've got lot front, lot depth not listed. I haven't looked at the lot configuration on this, but my only thoughts when I looked at this one is that I found it to be a bit smaller size, but it was newer. Oh, no, I know what this is now. This was a subdivision of an original home into a small lot, right? It was new construction with the influence. So I think that this is, I would say, answer your question, that this is on some aspects inferior to the subject, but on some, because it's more affordable, it'll attract a higher demand. So demand will drive this price up. Quality will drive it down. So I think it fits in nicely with what I've done. Okay.
So there's one comp here that you have, 132 Gurdon. It's also built by a premier builder, Brownstone Estates. In the same league as our gross builders. The land value is closer to the subject land value. The size and quality are somewhat similar.
I urgently need a break. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can I just leave for a minute?
You know something, can, Mr. Neufeld, can we just, finish?
Yeah, I gotta go. Sorry, I'm sorry.
All right, we'll call the hearing back to order. And we're at 1000 Wellington. Mr. Neufeld, just conclude value of 1,920,000. Okay? That's your position.
Yes.
Mr. Gauthier, are you finished questioning? I think so.
I am finished questioning.
Okay. Val, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Jerry, any questions? Okay, because this room is going to be used for another hearing this afternoon, we are going to suspend the rest of the docket and conclude at some further time recording.
Sorry, did you want to confirm 1447 St. Anne's? Do you want to do that quickly?
Okay.
Well, I don't want to run this hearing. That's your job.
No.
We can do this fast.
We're not going to do 14 because we got to read it into the, and we have to be out of here. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to suspend the hearing and conclude the rest of the hearing at a further date, and the assessment manager or appeals manager will set it up. Thank you all very much.